Insurance clawbacks. This is everybody's probably least favorite topic, but I have seen a ton of questions surrounding this topic. So I thought it would be helpful just to do a little video on it and kind of talk you guys through kind of what they are, the time frame, and then kind of what things we can do better. So I'm Amy Plano. I'm the reimbursement dietitian, and I am here to simplify the reimbursement process for all registered dietitians and CNSs looking to accept insurance in your practice. I've been accepting insurance since 2007, and I would say every year on average, I would say we get about $3,000 worth of insurance callbacks. So you got paid, you spent the money, now the insurance company wants it back. Welcome to the world of insurance clawbacks. And here's just some steps, tips on how to kind of proceed forward. In this quick video, we're going to define what a clawback is, talk about the time frame generally for what we will see, the reason for a clawback, as well as what are some things you can just do better. And I'm just going to be a straight shooter. Sometimes, in spite of all of these things, you can't do anything better because sometimes the patient's going to give you the wrong insurance, so on and so forth. So I just want to be super clear that no matter what you do, because I know as dietitians, we want to prepare the shit for the future, but sometimes you just cannot anticipate what may happen. So insurance clawbacks occur when an insurance company takes back money it previously paid to a provider, just like us, like a dietitian for services rendered. This happens months or even years after the claim was essentially initially paid. The statute of limitations on insurance clawbacks, the time frame basically in which the insurance company can come back and legally demand the money, varies by state, insurer, and contract type. And when I mean contract type, that's like a loaded question. When I say contract type, I'm referring to, is it a commercial contract like Blue Cross Blue Shield, or are we talking federal Medicare, or are we talking state Medicaid? Okay, so that's kind of like the overall view. So let's talk about timeframes. Typically, in terms of timeframes, commercial insurance companies like Aetna, Cigna, Blue Cross Blue Shield, usually 12 to 24 months from the original payment date. Some plans allow for clawbacks up to 3 to 4 years if they think fraud was applicable or something was basically misrepresented on a claim, or if they suspect any type of kind of underlying issue there. Medicare up to 5 years for routine overpayments. So while Medicare gives us the longest amount of time to submit claims, they also have a substantial window to come back and ask for claims. And there is no time limit in cases involving fraud. Medicaid, as you guys know, varies by state. So it's generally, I think in most states, 2 to 5 years, but some states extend this depending upon audits or, once again, if fraud is suspected. So you guys can see the time frames in which they come back are highly variable based on your state as well. So there's some, state rules that obviously I cannot go into in a quick video like this, but the time frame is pretty wide. That's kind of what I want to drive the point home. What are some of the reasons for clawbacks, right? So incorrect coding or billing errors. I always say this, and I don't mean to be a jerk, but if you bill something incorrectly and it gets paid, that is not a shoe-in that nobody's coming back for the money. So a lot of you guys might bill with certain codes that maybe I told you not to bill with, and then you're frustrated with me because you get paid and you're like, nah, 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 nah. But the reality is if you bill incorrectly, then they can come back. Number 2, if the service is not deemed medically necessary upon later review. So maybe you get, a medical request, audit, or maybe in order for them to pay you, they want to see the notes. They've already paid you on that. They can come back later, obviously, and ask for the money if it was not medically necessary. The provider was not credentialed or active at the time of service, right? So like you thought you were actually contracted, but you just went through the credentialing process. You didn't have an actual contract. That could be a reason for a clawback. Like you're just not active in the system, and by accident, they thought you were. Retroactive policy changes or insurance terminations. I would say that's probably the most popular one. Um, Patient gives you the wrong insurance for several visits. And then the insurance company comes back years later and is like, hey, PS, like you billed Blue Cross Blue Shield. Now you really need to bill Aetna. And there's a whole process. Those are things I teach in my coaching program and kind of how to work through those. And then audit findings where multiple claims were viewed and overpayments were identified. So just some different reasons for clawbacks. Like I said, how does it work? In my experience, for the most of the clawbacks I have received, you get a letter in the mail. I probably should have just had one. I have one right now. And then it's got like an envelope, and then it has like, you were overpaid on this person. This is the reason why. And then on the bottom, it has like a tear off where you can essentially put like a check in. Or you might elect to have the insurer deduct money from future payments. We call this an offset, but they may, like I said, they may want to be paid directly. So I know that part is frustrating, but I always, even if I thought I was overpaid, I wait for the letter or I wait for the fax. Generally speaking, something comes by paper. That's why it's important that the addresses that you have on file with the insurance companies are actually legit. So once again, super clear, super transparent. Sometimes you cannot protect yourself from clawbacks because there's erroneous information out there and you can just do your best. So the goal of this video is not to freak you out. I just want to give an overview and speak from my experience, from somebody who experiences clawbacks every single year, kind of what this looks like. But these are some different ways. Here's our 5 different ways you can help protect yourself. So always confirm, right, that the client's coverage and eligibility, so including medical necessity, right? You are determining medical necessity, making sure there's a medical reason why you're seeing that patient, right? So, and documenting, right? Documenting like, the reference number when you did verify the benefits, what things were verified, so on and so forth. In my practice, in our EMR, we have a benefit form check. So if we do need to check the benefits, everything is just uploaded and saved in a safe spot to the EMR. So you can do the same thing for your practice in your EMR. You probably can just create your own form. Obviously, stay on top of credentialing. If you need help with credentialing, that's something my team can help with. We, in addition to amazing coaching services, which I would highly recommend, we also do done-for-you credentialing services where we do your credentialing for you, and all you need to do is sit back and watch the email exchange between us and the insurance companies. With certain insurance companies, it's very confusing because they will say to you, congratulations, you went through the credentialing process. And it will give you a date. But the reality is you have only gone through the credentialing process. You do not have a contract. The contracting period can take another 30, 45, 60 days. So making sure you guys have a contract that's locked in, loaded, and also, actually also making sure that, if the insurance companies call you to verify your information in the directory, which they are forced to do by law once a quarter, that your information is correct and that you have called them back. Super important. They can DC your contract. Number 3, most importantly, using the correct CPT codes, diagnosis codes, and ensuring your documentation supports medical necessity. Coding errors are the top reason for clawbacks. So you want to understand how each insurance company works and what to do in terms of working forward. And number 4, most obvious, you guys are amazing at this, making sure that you keep detailed, meticulous records. So detailed chart records, benefit verification logs, all of those things can help you dispute a clawback if needed. And then this is something, especially if you're a number 5, if you're a group practice owner, you want to do regularly is to kind of like audit your practice. So every Friday I go in, I pull a whole bunch of random claims. I pull a whole bunch of random notes from different dietitians, checking for medical necessity within the notes, checking for like, are we seeing this patient with a cadence or a frequency that makes sense for the disorder that we're seeing them for? And then obviously looking at how we're billing, so like, are the appropriate modifiers on there? Are we using the appropriate CPT code for the insurance company? Are we using the right ICD-10 code or combination for the ICD-10 code? So those are all important things to think about. Once again, I need to reiterate this because you guys get in your own heads and you guys freak yourselves out. Clawbacks are probably inevitable. No matter how good you do any of those five things, if you're like me, it just happens. It happens, I would say probably like once a quarter, kind of to contribute to that $3,000 worth of clawback. So not here to scare you. This is just part of the insurance process. So I have a ton of resources on documentation, on audits. Probably we're going to drop them below this video. A cheat sheet for billing, credentialing if you want us to do this for. And then my biggest suggestion is the coaching program because my coaching program is awesome and you get all of those things. The only reason why I point those out is they are really, really good resources. And I don't just say that because I made them. You guys tell me all the time that these are incredible resources, especially the documentation masterclass. So we will drop those all below here. So if you need additional support or you just want to feel more prepared, but with that being said, not here to freak you out. You'll probably never be prepared and these will happen. So we're just going to deal with them when they happen, but I want you guys to be educated and that is the reason for this video. So if you like this video and the tidbits of information, I'd love if you'd hit the subscribe button. We release juicy videos just like this every single week, generally on Wednesday. And then you guys will just be getting the beat on the street from the reimbursement dietitian herself. So hopefully you guys enjoyed and hopefully this was super helpful. And I'll see you back here next week.